Imagine a room filled with the deafening buzz of thousands of mosquitoes, all genetically modified to carry a deadly disease. Welcome to the world of science's scariest experiments. Today we embark on a journey that will take us into the shadowy corners of scientific research, where curiosity meets fear, and the results are chillingly unforgettable. We count down the top 10 scariest science experiments, starting with the least scary and moving towards the downright terrifying. Our selection is based on three main criteria: the ethical implications of the experiment, the potential for harm it could cause, and the overall fear factor it evokes. From psychological manipulation to biological warfare, these experiments push the boundaries of what we consider acceptable in the pursuit of knowledge. So, brace yourselves, steel your nerves, prepare yourself as we delve into the unnerving depths of scientific exploration. At number 10, we have the infamous Stanford Prison Experiment. A study that was supposed to last 2 weeks yet was abruptly halted in just 6 days. Conducted by psychologist Philip Zimbardo in 1971, the experiment sought to investigate the psychological effects of perceived power. 24 participants were randomly assigned to either play the role of a prisoner or a guard within a simulated prison environment. However, the lines between simulation and reality blurred ominously. The guards began to display authoritarian tendencies, while the prisoners grew increasingly passive and compliant. The Stanford Prison Experiment spiraled into a chilling display of cruelty and dehumanization. It was a stark reminder of how easily individuals can lose their sense of self and morality when given unchecked power. Today it's remembered not just for its shocking results, but also for the profound ethical questions it raised about the nature of scientific research. A chilling testament to the power of authority and the darkness within us all. Number 9 on our list brings us to an experiment dubbed the Monster Study. In the late 1930s, Dr. Wendell Johnson, a speech pathologist, embarked on a chilling venture. His aim? To induce stuttering in healthy children, an experiment that would later be condemned for its ethical implications. Johnson and his team selected 22 orphan children. Half of these children were subjected to negative speech therapy, where they were criticized for every speech imperfection in a bid to teach them to stutter. The result was not only speech problems, but also a cascade of psychological issues ranging from loss of self-esteem to severe anxiety. The other half fortunately received positive speech therapy. However, the damage was done. The psychological trauma inflicted on the subjects was profound and long-lasting, leading to an ethical controversy that still resonates today. A monstrous experiment indeed that left lasting scars on its innocent subjects. At number 8, we have the third wave, a terrifying look into the allure of fascism. This chilling experiment was not conducted in a remote lab, but rather in the familiar setting of a high school in Palo Alto, California. The year was 1967, and history teacher Ron Jones was looking to demonstrate the appeal and power of authoritarian rule. Jones introduced a series of rules and disciplines, which he called the third wave, to his students. Surprisingly, the students not only complied, but they also embraced these new principles with alarming enthusiasm. They began to report on each other for non-compliance and even ostracized those who resisted the new order. The experiment, initially planned for 1 day, extended to 5 as the students became more engrossed in their roles. The third wave serves as a chilling testament to the ease with which authoritarian principles can be adopted. An unnerving reminder of how easily minds can be manipulated. Number 7 on our list is the Aversion Project, a horrifying abuse of medical science. Born out of a misguided belief in prejudice, this project took place in South Africa during the apartheid era. Its goal was nothing short of chilling: to cure homosexuality through inhumane methods. These methods range from electroconvulsive aversion therapy to even forced gender reassignment surgeries. The individuals subjected to these procedures were mostly young, conscripted soldiers who had no choice but to comply. This project was not just a gross violation of medical ethics, but also of basic human rights. The aftermath was devastating. Many victims were left with long-lasting psychological trauma, and some were permanently physically altered. The Aversion Project serves as a stark reminder of the dangerous lengths people can go when scientific exploration is guided not by the pursuit of understanding, but by prejudice and discrimination. A grim testament to the abuse of science in the hands of prejudice. At number 6, we have the infamous Milgram experiment. This chilling study was designed by psychologist Stanley Milgram in the early 60s to test obedience to authority. Participants were told they were part of a learning experiment and were instructed to administer electric shocks to a learner each time they answered a question incorrectly. The shocks were fake, but the participants didn't know it. As the experiment progressed, the intensity of these shocks was increased, even to the point of being potentially lethal if they were real. The authority figure, a lab-coated experimenter, urged participants to continue, despite the apparent distress of the learner. Shockingly, a large majority of participants went all the way, obeying the instructions to administer what they believed were dangerous shocks. This experiment raised significant ethical issues, as it caused genuine distress to the participants. It's a stark reminder of the lengths people will go to obey authority. Number 5 brings us to the realm of conspiracy turned reality, with Project MK Ultra. This was no ordinary experiment. It was a covert operation conducted by the Central Intelligence Agency in the mid-20th century. The objective was nothing short of chilling: to develop techniques for mind control and chemical warfare. To achieve this, the CIA used a range of methods, many of which were deeply distressing. Subjects were subjected to high doses of psychoactive drugs, electroshocks, hypnosis, and even physical abuse. All these were done without the knowledge or consent of the individuals involved. Many were left with permanent psychological damage, and some, tragically, didn't survive the ordeal. Project MK Ultra stands as a stark reminder of how the pursuit of knowledge can be distorted, crossing ethical boundaries. It's a dark testament to the times when science, in the wrong hands, can lead to horrifying outcomes. A disturbing glimpse into the misuse of science for nefarious purposes. At number 4, we have the Tuskegee syphilis study, a dark chapter in medical history. This study, which took place from 1932 to 1972, involved a significant breach of trust and ethical standards. Hundreds of African-American men in Tuskegee, Alabama were left untreated for syphilis, under the guise of receiving free health care. The researchers, instead of providing these men with the necessary treatment, observed the progression of the disease, using their subjects as human guinea pigs. The aftermath was devastating. Many men died, suffered extreme health complications, or passed the disease onto their wives and children. This study is a stark reminder of the lengths some are willing to go for the sake of scientific advancement. It also underscores the importance of ethical guidelines in research studies, which are designed to protect individuals from such gross misconduct. A shameful example of how science can be twisted by racial prejudice. Number 3 takes us to the horrifying depths of wartime atrocities with Unit 731. During the Second World War, this covert Japanese unit led a chilling exploration into the abyss of inhumanity. They conducted a series of biological and chemical warfare experiments that, to this day, remain a gruesome scar on the face of science. These experiments were not carried out on animals or in controlled labs. Instead, they were performed on human beings, most of whom were prisoners of war. Consent was never sought, making these experiments a gross violation of human rights. The death toll from these experiments is staggering. Thousands of men, women, and even children lost their lives in the name of this warped scientific endeavor. Their suffering was used to fuel a war machine, their humanity disregarded in the pursuit of knowledge and power. Unit 731 stands as a stark reminder of the darkest side of science unleashed in the throes of war. At number 1, we have the most terrifying of them all, the Nazi human experiments. During the darkest days of the Second World War, Nazi physicians conducted a series of horrifying medical experiments on concentration camp prisoners. These experiments, devoid of any ethical considerations, resulted in unimaginable suffering and loss of life. Among the most chilling were the freezing experiments, designed to determine how much cold a human body could endure before perishing. Sterilization experiments were another horrifying facet aimed at developing techniques for mass sterilization of groups deemed undesirable by the Nazi regime. And then there were the infamous twin studies, where pairs of siblings were subjected to cruel and often lethal procedures in a misguided quest to unlock the secrets of heredity and eugenics. The Nazi human experiments represent the ultimate perversion of science, a chilling reminder of the depths humanity can sink to in the name of research. From psychological manipulation to gruesome medical experiments, we've navigated the darkest corners of scientific exploration. We've revisited the Stanford prison experiment, where the lines between roles and reality blurred, and the chilling monster study, which exploited children's speech development. We've delved into the third wave, demonstrating the ease of totalitarian indoctrination, and the Aversion Project, a horrifying violation of human rights. We've looked at the Milgram experiment, testing obedience to authority, and Project MKUltra, a covert and unethical mind control program. We've addressed the Tuskegee syphilis study's shocking disregard for human life, Unit 731's inhumane biological warfare research, and the Nazi human experiments, the epitome of medical atrocity. These harrowing tales serve as stark reminders of the importance of ethical considerations in science. As we delve deeper into the mysteries of the universe, let us remember the lessons from these chilling experiments and strive to use science responsibly.